Hello students, welcome to the lecture on motor insurance, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Describe the history of motor insurance, discuss the certificate of insurance, explain the employer's liability, Compulsory Insurance Act 1969, describe the fidelity guarantee insurance. Let's start with motor insurance. Motor insurance comprises of two words, that is motor plus insurance, and motor means a vehicle of any sort which is running on the road, and insurance means to provide cover for any unforeseen risk which may occur in day-to-day life. Someone is walking on the road, a car hits from the back, it get a fracture in leg, and while coming out never thought that have an accident, but it happened. And this is unforeseen risk, that is a risk of happening of an event which may happen or may not happen. So motor insurance, as all know, is the insurance for motor vehicles. There are various risks which are related with the loss of or damage to motor vehicles like theft, fire or any accidental damage, so as to provide coverage for this motor insurance is taken. Let us now study about motor insurance in detail. Motor insurance is an important part of general insurance. It is the fascinating branch of insurance. This type of insurance has come into existence from United Kingdom in the early part of this century, as it must be surprised to know that the first motor car was introduced in England in 1894. Third-party liability includes third party and liability incurred towards third party. Third party means any party other than owner, driver or the government. Any liability occurring towards third party due to use of motor vehicle is third party liability. It can be in the form of bodily injury to third party or damage to third party property. So at the beginning only third party insurance came into existence, but later on in UK they realized the importance of insurance in terms of motor, and with this an accidental comprehensive policy also came into existence, and later on the lines of UK we started using approximately the same policy. How the concept of motor insurance has come into existence. In 1939, India has also realized the importance of motor insurance, and Motor Vehicle Act was passed and came into existence in 1939. Earlier, only few people knew about motor insurance, but later on, compulsory third-party insurance was introduced by the Act on 1st July 1946. India follows the same practice as that of UK, as Motor Vehicles Act laid the provisions in 1939, and it required some amendments that were implemented by the Motor Vehicles Act 1988, and it became effective from 1st July 1989, and that's how the insurance concept has come to India. Why one should go for motor insurance? As all know, in country, crores of vehicles are plying on the road and lot of accidents occurred daily, and due to these accidents damages to material and third party occurs. Third party is any person other than the owner, but the question arises how the loss is to be compensated. After realizing all these problems, it was made mandatory for all the vehicles which are plying on the road to have an insurance which can provide coverage to general public against the risk of loss or damage to motor vehicles, and with this the motor insurance concept has come into existence. An act made this insurance compulsory for everyone, those who are driving the vehicle on the road, so it became quite popular among people. Motor Vehicles Act 1988. In the old days, many of the pedestrians who were knocked down by motor vehicles and who were killed or injured did not get any compensation because the motorists did not have the resources to pay the compensation and were also not insured. In order to safeguard the interests of pedestrians, therefore the Motor Vehicles Act 1939 introduced compulsory insurance. The liabilities which require compulsory insurance are any liability incurred by the insured in respect of death or bodily injury of any person, including owner of the goods or his authorized representative, carried in the carriage. Liability incurred in respect of damage to any property of a third party. Liability incurred in respect of death or bodily injury of any passenger of a public service vehicle. Liability arising under Workmen's Compensation Act 1923 in respect of death or bodily injury of paid driver of the vehicle, conductor or ticket examiner, public service vehicles. Workers carried in a goods vehicle. Liability in respect of death or bodily injury of passengers who are carried for hire or reward or by reason of or in pursuance of contract of employment. The policy of insurance should cover the liability incurred in respect of any one accident as follows. In respect of death of or bodily injury to any person, the amount of liability incurred is without limit, that is unlimited. In respect of damage to any property of third party, a limit of INR 6,000. Did you know in 1903 the Car and General Insurance Corporation Limited was established mainly to transact motor insurance? After this company, a lot many other companies has come into existence to transact this business.
Credit-challenged consumers need to take advantage of used car shopping tools when looking to purchase a previously owned vehicle. Vehicle history and physical inspection are probably two of the most important ones. Getting a vehicle history report means being able to trust that the car you're buying is what the seller says it is, especially if it's a used car. The two largest companies selling these reports are Carfax and AutoCheck. Even though both companies are similar, AutoCheck also offers its users an unlimited number of vehicle history reports over a 30-day period, while Carfax charges the same fee for only 5 of its reports. But regardless of the company you use, be sure to run a report on any used car you're seriously considering. Next, if the car's history is clean, you should then ask the seller if you can have it mechanically inspected. Take it to an ASE certified master mechanic to have this service performed. Both individual mechanics and vehicle inspection companies offer this service, and even though you will have to pay for the service, consider it money well spent, as a vehicle with hidden damage could cost thousands of dollars in repair bills. If the seller refuses to let you have the vehicle inspected by a mechanic, it's probably best just to walk away. Give them their best chance at an approval for a newer.
Let us move to the next topic, Certificate of Insurance. The Motor Vehicles Act provides that the policy of insurance shall be of no effect unless and until a certificate of insurance in the form prescribed under the rules of the Act is issued. The only evidence of the existence of a valid insurance as required by the Motor Vehicles Act, acceptable to the policy authorities and RTO, is a certificate of insurance issued by the issuers. The points covered under a certificate of insurance differ according to the type of vehicle insured. Types of policies. For all classes of vehicles, there are two types of policy forms. Form A to cover Act liability. Form B to cover own damage losses and Act liability. The policy can also be extended to cover additional liabilities as provided in the tariff. Form A is called Standard Form for A policy for Act liability. This form applies uniformly to all classes of vehicles, whether private cars, commercial vehicles, motorcycles or motor scooters, with suitable amendments in limitations as to use. Form B, which provides wider cover as indicated follows, varies with the class of vehicle covered. There are therefore Form B policies for private cars, commercial vehicles, motorcycles, scooters, etc. Let us study about policy Form B in detail. Policy Form B. This policy provides the so-called comprehensive cover, and the structure of the policy form is the same for all vehicles, with some differences which are pointed out wherever applicable. Section 1. Loss or damage or own damage. The risks covered are fire, explosion, self-ignition or lighting, burglary, housebreaking or theft, riot and strike, earthquake, fire and shock damage, flood, typhoon, hurricane, storm, tempest, hailstorm, frost. Accidental external means. malicious act, terrorist activity, transit by road, rail, inland waterway, lift, elevator or air, landslide or rock slide exclusions, consequential loss, depreciation, wear and tear, mechanical or electrical breakdowns, failures or breakages, damage to tires unless the vehicle is damaged at the same time, then 50% of cost of replacement payable. For commercial vehicles, compulsory excess clause dealt with later. Loss when the vehicle is driven under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs. Towing charges. If the motor car is disabled as a result of damage covered by the policy, the insurers bear a reasonable cost of protecting the car and removing it to the nearest repairers, as also the reasonable cost of redelivery to the insured. Repairs. Ordinarily, repairs arising out of damage covered by the policy can be carried out only after they are authorized by the insurers. Compulsory excess. This applies to all vehicles. The insured has to bear a part of the claim amount in respect of each accident. Further loss, damage to lamps, tires, mudguards and or bonnet side parts, bumpers and or paint work is not payable except in the case of a total loss of vehicle. Section 2. Liability to third parties. The insurers indemnify the insured against all sums which he may become legally liable to any person including occupants carried in the motor car, provided that they are not carried for hire or reward by reason of death or bodily injuries caused to such third parties or by reason of damage to the property of third parties caused by or arising out of the use of the motor car. The insurers are liable for the death of or bodily injury arising out of or in the course of employment, but only to the extent necessary to meet the requirements of the Motor Vehicles Act. Section 3. This appears in commercial vehicle policies only. It provides cover while the vehicle is towing one disabled mechanically propelled vehicle. It provides that whilst the insured vehicle is being used for the purpose of towing any one disabled mechanically propelled vehicle, the cover provided by the policy remains operative. B. Under Section 2 of the policy, indemnity will also be provided for the liability in connection with such towed vehicle. This, however, is subject to the following two provisions. The towed vehicle should not be towed for hire or reward, and no cover is available under the policy for the damage to the towed vehicle or the property conveyed thereby. General exclusions applicable to all. These provide that the insurer shall not be liable in respect of any accident outside the geographical area specified in the policy, that is India. Contractual liability. Any accident when the vehicle is used not in accordance with the limitations use clause. Any accident when the vehicle is driven without any effective driving license, driver's clause. War, etc. and nuclear risks. Did you know the first motor policy to provide coverage for third-party liability came into existence in 1895? Moving further, let us talk about Employers' Liability Compulsory Insurance Act 1969. Most employers are required by the law to insure against liability for injury or disease to their employees arising out of their employment. It is intended to help to understand what is required. It is not a legal interpretation of the Employers' Liability Compulsory Insurance Act, and it has no formal legal status. It should be aware that only the courts can authoritatively interpret the law. What is employer's liability insurance? The employer is responsible for health and safety. If insured as a result of an accident at work or become ill as a result of work, and if believed employer is responsible, it may be able to seek compensation from them. The Employers' Liability Compulsory Insurance Act 1969 requires employer to have at least a minimum level of insurance against any such claims. Employers' liability insurance will cover relevant work injuries or illness, whether these are caused on or off-site. Does employer need employer's liability insurance? All employers must have employees' liability insurance except the following. Most public organizations, including government departments and agencies, local authorities, police authorities and nationalized industries. Health service bodies including National Health Service Trusts, health authorities, primary care trusts. Some other organizations which are financed through public funds such as passenger transport executives and magistrates courts committees. The certificate of insurance. The certificate of insurance must contain the following information. Level of cover. The certificate must show that employer has insurance cover for at least the minimum level required by the law. At present, the minimum level of cover required is INR 504.27 million, which includes costs. The employer can have more than one policy for employers' liability insurance. Company covered. The certificate should make clear which companies are covered by the policy. If the company works for is part of a group, the policy can cover the group as a whole. In this case, the group as a whole, including subsidiary companies, must have cover of at least INR 504.27 million. The certificate must be signed by an authorized insurer. The Financial Services Authority (ESA) maintains a register of authorized insurers. Fidelity Guarantee Insurance. The fidelity guarantee as insured by the insurers is a contract of insurance and also a contract of guarantee to which the general principles of insurance apply. It does not guarantee the employee's honesty, but it guarantees that if the employer suffers any direct financial loss arising out of the employee's dishonesty, the insurers shall indemnify the said loss to the employer within the limitations prescribed by the contract. Insurable interest. The term fidelity guarantee insurance embraces policies indemnifying employers against pecuniary losses on account of forgery, defalcation, misappropriation of money, embezzlement, diversion of money to one's use, and fraudulent conversation by employees. Scope of cover. The policy covers the loss sustained by the employer by reason of any act of forgery and or fraud and or dishonesty of monies or goods of the employer on the part of the employee insured committed on or after the date of commencement of the policy during uninterrupted service with the employer. Main factors considered for issuance of fidelity guarantee policy. The extent of control over the work of the person to be guaranteed necessarily to form the relationship of master and servant. The record, standing and reputation of the employee. The bonfires of the employer. The system of checking of the accounts and general supervision of the employee. Types of fidelity guarantees. Individual policy. This policy covers an individual for a stated amount. Collective policy. This policy covers a group of employees. The insured decides the amount of guarantee required for each individual according to his or her responsibility and position. Floater policy. A single amount is shown in the policy which represents the insurer's liability in respect of any one individual and its total liabilities in respect of all the employees guaranteed who are individually named in the schedule. Blanket policy. The insurer in certain selected cases issues blanket policies without the names of the guaranteed persons being shown in respect of all employees who are grouped according to categories, example, employees handling cash, other clerical staff, etc. Take home. The requirements to establish the act of infidelity and submit a proof of loss means a forensic audit are essential. Ordinarily, the cover is extended to forensic auditors' fees incurred in establishing and substantiating the amount of loss. Clients' in-house expenses and overhead are not covered. The following services skills are therefore imperative for a successful fidelity guarantee insurance claim: investigation, interrogation, documentation, proof of loss, law enforcement, liaison. Forensic accounting. Types of risk covered by insurance. Life is full of uncertainties and uncertainty means risk. Risk means the possibility of loss or damage. Insurance is taken to compensate for the losses occurred. Insurance gives protection against the perils that one faces in life. Insurance guards oneself from the danger that may or may not happen in the future. Risk does not mean threat of life only. The risk can be classified into various categories such as financial and non-financial risk. Financial risk. The risk that is concerned with the financial loss is known as financial risk. Generally, the financial risk is related to business activities. Non-financial risk. A risk that cannot be measured in financial terms is known as non-financial risk. Even business activity can deal with the non-financial risk such as resignation of versatile employee, non-cooperation from employees, etc. Static and dynamic risk. Static. Static means no change. This type of risk occurs even when there is no change in the economy. Fire, theft, misappropriation of cash, etc. can be an example of static risk. Dynamic risk. Dynamic risks are just opposite of static risk. Dynamic risks are mostly unpredictable. Fundamental and particular risk. Fundamental risk is also known as group risk. Fundamentals risk occurs due to changes in major factors related to population. Particular risk. While particular risks are contradictory to fundamental risk, particular risk involves only losses aroused to individuals. Pure and speculative risk. Pure risk. Pure risk is a kind of risk where there is either loss or no loss. Where there is no gain, insurance can compensate only for pure risk and not speculative risk. Pure risk generally involves activities related to goods. Speculative risk. Speculative risk cannot be insured. As insurance covers only those risks which results into loss, speculative risk may also result in profits. Workers' comp. Owner exclusions. Generally speaking, executive officers of an corporation are included under a state's Workers' Compensation Act unless they file for an exemption of coverage. Partners and sole proprietors are generally exempt from coverage under a state act but may often elect to bring themselves under the act. It is the responsibility of the employer and or its representative to determine prior to applying for coverage the options available under a specific state's act. Further, it should be noted that action taken either to elect or reject coverage under a state's act does not eliminate the need of such action in additional states where the employer has exposure. We help protect owners and officers from paying too much. Most insurance agents are not experts on workers' compensation coverage and often do not know when an owner or officer can choose to exclude themselves from a policy. We think employers should know their rights and make their own determination as to whether or not they want to be included or excluded election of coverage or rejection of coverage from their workers' compensation coverage. What types of incidents are and are not covered by workers' compensation insurance? Workers' compensation insurance is even designed to cover injuries that result from employees or employers' carelessness. The range of injuries and situations covered is broad, but there are limits. States can impose drug and alcohol testing on the injured employee and can deny the employee workers' compensation benefits if such tests show the employee was under the influence at the time of the injury. What types of expenses does workers' compensation insurance cover? Although the payments are usually modest, workers' compensation insurance covers medical care from the injury or illness, replacement income, costs for retraining, compensation for any permanent injuries, benefits to survivors or workers who are killed on the job, who pay for workers' compensation, insurance coverage. Employees. Do most states require all employees to purchase insurance for their employees? There are specific workers' compensation insurance companies that provide this service. As mentioned, small companies with fewer than 3 to 5 employees are not required to purchase workers' compensation insurance in some states. Qualifications and exclusion of benefits. Be involved in a motor vehicle accident that occurred in the NT or involved in an NT registered vehicle if interstate. One can be a driver, passenger, cyclist or pedestrian. Exclusion of benefits. Exclusions which impact on benefits for loss of earning capacity and permanent impairment. It may not be eligible or may receive reduced benefits for loss of earning capacity or permanent impairment compensation if driving the motor vehicle. Under the influence of alcohol or drugs, passengers injured in the accident are still entitled to these benefits. Were found guilty of manslaughter, dangerous driving or an offense that was intentional, reckless or criminally negligent that caused harm or endangered the life or safety of another person. Taking part in a race, competition or trial at the time of the accident. Were engaged in conduct that created a substantial risk of injury to the injured person or recklessly ignored the risk without ever having held a driving license for the class of vehicle involved or where their license is cancelled or suspended. Partial exclusions from benefits. Benefit entitlements except for medical and rehabilitation services will be reduced by 25% in the event a person is injured or dies as a result of a motor accident where they fail to wear a seat belt or safety helmet as required under the Tariff Act, NT or other relevant jurisdiction or corresponding law. Exclusion for all benefits. There is no entitlement to benefits where the injured person was using a vehicle in the course of committing a serious crime, using a vehicle without the consent of the owner, using a vehicle whilst resisting lawful apprehension or fleeing the scene of an accident, using a vehicle whilst attempting to inflict death or serious injury on themselves or other people. Eligible for compensation under a workers' compensation scheme. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learnt in this lecture. Motor insurance comprises of two words, that is motor plus insurance, and motor means a vehicle of any sort which is running on the road, and insurance means to provide cover for any unforeseen risk which occurs in day-to-day life. The Motor Vehicles Act provides that the policy of insurance shall be of no effect unless and until a certificate of insurance in the form prescribed under the rules of the Act is issued. Life is full of uncertainties, and uncertainty means risk. Risk means the possibility of loss or damage. Insurance is taken to compensate for the losses occurred. The term Fidelity Guarantee Insurance embraces policies indemnifying employers against pecuniary losses on account of forgery, defalcation, embezzlement, and fraudulent conversation by employees. Ordinary repairs arising out of damage covered by the policy carried out only after they are authorized by the insurers.